Okay, before we get to essay number 56, I'd just like to add in this little blurb. We're here reading American Miscellany, published in 1865, and I assume back then they didn't want to waste a little bit of paper or a little bit of ink, so they tend to squeeze in these little, these little anecdotes or, little tiny blurbs kind of between essays. So we just finished essay number 55 on the Shakers of New Lebanon, and we're about to head towards essay number 56, which is social influence. But let's read this tiny little paragraph in between. It's about reason. All right, page 133, reason. Reason is used by those most acute in distinguishing to signify that power of the mind by which we draw inferences, or by which we are convinced that a relation belongs to two ideas, on account of our having found that these ideas bear certain relations to other ideas. It is that faculty which enables us, from relations and ideas that are known, to investigate such as are unknown, and without which we could never proceed in the discovery of truth a single step beyond first principles. Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and move on to page 134 in American Miscellany, published 1865. We are now on essay 56 on social influence. This could be interesting. All right, social influence. It is a most interesting as well as a solemn fact that every individual member of society is responsible to some degree for the common good. We may say to each one, the Almighty has placed the moral character, the social condition, the spiritual growth of many others, to a considerable extent under your care. He has linked together all men with 1,000 intersecting chains, many of which, so to speak, connect with each one of us, and by means of these our influence is continually flowing out in every direction. Thus we are reciprocally influencing each other's conduct and molding each other's character. It is astonishing how much influence a single person sometimes has over a whole community. He impresses his mark upon all around him, and it is visible to all. But the influence of a person is not to be measured by its visible effects. Those cases which are the most striking generally attract attention because they bear somewhat of an eccentric type and have respect to things out of the common course. When the influence is to anything peculiar, it is instantly seen. But in proportion as it falls in with a current, or is expansive and well balanced, it loses its individuality. The most obvious case which meets our eye is only an example of that formative power which we all have over each other, though it is generally more secret in its effects. Let us not underrate this influence, nor take too limited views of its extent. There is no one who does not possess and exercise it, and there is no one who is not affected by it in others. And, if desirable, its amount may always be increased by cultivating those qualities and expanding those faculties of ours upon which it is based. There are various distinct spheres of life where this influence is peculiarly exerted, and wherein Providence seems to have designed to afford us an opportunity for benefiting each other. One of these spheres is the family. By ordaining the ties of kindred and collecting us together in family groups, a foundation has been laid for much delightful and improving influence. The relations into which we are thus brought to each other give us a reciprocal power which, if rightly improved, secures the most beneficial results, but which, if perverted, is to an equal extent disastrous. The influence of a parent over a child probably exceeds every other. By it, the child's character will receive a bias which nothing can afterwards fully remove. Hence the untold importance of giving it early a right direction. Take this child and nurse it for me, is the address of God to every parent, and a solemn responsibility attends the charge. The child will be very much what the parent attempts to make it. Every hour impressions will be made upon it which nothing can efface. Nor is the influence of other members of the family upon each other very much below that of the parent. Next, we will mention the social circle of friends. The influence here exerted ought, perhaps, to be estimated next to that in the family. In such a circle, drawn together by the attractive power of coincident tastes and feelings, where heart mingles with heart and thoughts unbidden flow freely forth, there is such a blending of spirits and such a trustful abandonment of self to the guidance of others, and always results in a mental assimilation of character. Even the local circumstance of neighborhood provides another sphere of influence, by no means of little account, for it is impossible, even for the most dissimilar persons, to be near each other, to be daily seen and brought into contact in the busyness of life, without insensibly producing deep impressions and working changes of feeling and character. The civil bonds of society also, by uniting men in national ties and awaking common feelings of mental dependence, oneness of interest, and patriotic desire, is another foundation for personal influence of considerable extent. Those who are united together for the support of a good government, to maintain common rights, to resist oppression, establish justice, and foster those institutions which are necessary for the well-being of society and the progress of the race, have, from this interesting relation to each other, a mutual sympathy awakened, which gives them an important influence over each other's hearts. The last sphere of social influence which we shall mention in this brief article is the Church. As religion is one of the deepest principles of our nature, the influence arising from this source is of wonderful power. Each of the other relations we have mentioned affords a means of promoting mental and spiritual improvement, but this, being founded upon spiritual affinities, affords the most delightful opportunities for operating upon other minds. So tender and sacred is this relation that it invests the humblest member with a degree of consideration and secures a deference to his opinions and wishes, which he could not otherwise attain, while everyone finds ample room here, and open hearts to receive the good impressions he may have the ability and the will to make. But we will enlarge upon these various spheres of social influence. They are all interesting, they are all important, they are all attended with very weighty responsibilities. In the family, the social circle, the neighborhood, the state, the church, God has assigned to us the most important trusts, and given us the means, even so appointed our condition that we cannot avoid being instrumental to the accomplishment of much, either good or evil.